Never done it. I couldn't do it. Could not do it.
Oh.
Are we live right now? Oh, shit. Anyway, hey guys, what's up? Welcome to an all-new episode of Convos on the Pedicab. I'm here with a very good friend of mine, Chris Isom. I'm wearing a Seinfeld shirt because that's what us white people are. You know, we're all Seinfeld characters. But anyway, I'm with my buddy Chris.
What's up, y'all?
He's
What's going on?
shirtless. He's a personal trainer. He's a yoga instructor. He's an activist within his community. He's going shirtless because I told him to. We need a female audience, so I figured that would help.
Hopefully, we'll see.
Hey, so anyway, Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself. Excited to have you, by the way. I really am pumped. Yeah,
man,
I'm pumped.
appreciate it, man. Seriously. Well, first of all, I know me and my boy Alex, we go way back because this pedicab that we're on right now, we met on the pedicab, so to speak, right? So this was back in 2014 through 16. But a little bit about myself. I'm from Southeast Texas, born and raised in Texas, never left Texas other than the one time I played professional basketball in Iceland. But here in Austin, man, it's been dope, a wild ride. Like I said, I've gotten to Austin due to fitness, health, and wellness. Currently, I'm opening a yoga studio. We'll talk about that a little bit more. It's on the historic district of East Austin, 12th and Chacon. So
next to Sam's Barbecue.
Yes,
dude.
Yes.
Well, what's the name of the spot? I want to know.
Everybody yoga. It's a play on words, so it's yoga for everybody. We need leaving no stone unturned. I don't care what your socioeconomic status is. I don't care what color, race, creed. I don't care how big, fat, short, tall, whatever. Everybody yoga. You can come get some. Everybody needs healing. It's going to be a safe space for everybody, especially on the east side, where by and large you don't have a lot like the Whole Foods. It's a food desert. You don't have a lot of gyms and yoga studios. So what I wanted to do is just provide that east side of Austin some type of health, some type of wellness and healing. And it's dope, man.
So when is it opening? When's your first class? I want to know more about this because you just dropped a bombshell on me, Chris. I'm actually pumped about this.
You know what? I have that effect on people. I tend to drop a bombshell on them. But check this out. So we have a class. I want you to come. Now y'all hearing it right here first. I want you to come to our first class. Our grand opening is in January.
Okay.
But we having our first class, not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. It's going to be October the 17th. So if you want to come, you make sure you come. But Alex, you have to come, man. October 17th.
Tell me the times. Let me know.
Hey, 10 o'clock in the morning.
Okay,
it's gonna be
yeah, fuck it. I'll do my best.
It's a pop-up class.
I won't even sleep the night before pedicabbing. Who cares? I'll make it happen.
Okay,
we'll do it. I'll do it. I don't care.
Oh, the beautiful part about the studio, too, though, is there's this beautiful artist. His name is Chris Rogers.
Okay.
And he does a lot of African-American art around the city. I'm pretty sure you guys have heard of him. But my studio is... the side of the building is drawn by him. It has a lot of different artists and entertainers like Whitney Houston, Tupac, Notorious B.I.G. We have Jimi Hendrix, James Brown, all kind of different artists. So I think it's very befitting that we leave something for our communities in our city that we can be proud of. So why not have a great artist in Chris Rogers and also a yoga studio?
This I'm really happy that this is actually happening because I've been hearing a lot of this. There's been an underlying narrative where I feel like. Our mayor and very specifically a lot of liberal mayors and governors have been kind of weaponizing the fact that black and Hispanic people are more likely to get COVID.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make it a racial thing, but in reality, this is very wealth oriented because. From a generational wealth standpoint, black people have like 70% the generational wealth than white people. Stock market participation is at 50%. The Hispanic community has a lot of intergenerational living. There are food deserts, like you said. Yeah. There are almost no yoga studios, and if there is a yoga studio, that a bunch of white people are about to move in and push them out of the neighborhood like really quickly. So I think that. When you factor in the socioeconomic stuff, the lack of organic food, the lack of proper, fitness knowledge, the lack of proper nutrition, the lack of any kind of a real education in terms of how to properly take care of yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty obvious that the people who are lacking these resources are less likely are going to be more likely to feel the effects of COVID
For sure.
than somebody else. So what you're doing is actually how we should be fighting the virus. So
Yep.
I really appreciate the fact that you're doing that this is how you actually fight the virus from a long-term perspective.
Man, appreciate you, brother. And like you said, it's like with the yoga studio, by and large, there's not a lot of yoga studios on East Austin. In fact, there's not a lot of yoga studios across the globe that are in underserved, marginalized, and oppressed communities. You see what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, and at the beginning of the day, of what I found being the business owner now, is a lot of it is about, compensation, money, revenue. You know what I'm saying? So when you think about this healing art of yoga, and you're supposed to go in there to get in healing, a lot of these communities that are suffering from food deserts, things like that, you have the high blood pressure, your diabetes. It's not because genetically we're predisposed to these symptoms. It's just the fact that we don't have, the access to some of these healthy foods, the food stores, the yoga studios, the gyms. And if we do have access, now you got to think about the economic part of it, because for some people, paying $150 a month for a yoga membership, that may mean they can't eat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, or you paying $10 a class. It's a lot. So how do you do your pricing? So let's go to that.
Yeah, thanks. So one, I will say this. One I've learned is it is a business at the end of the day, but we're actually going to do scholarships to where people can actually, if you in a lower income area or a certain zip code, you're going to be able to write that down, obviously, and we're going to provide you some relief to come into the yoga studio. So whether we give a extremely discounted rate for families that are underneath the poverty line or living in a certain district or a certain area, we're going to provide some economic relief there. Now, because it's a business, the people that can afford, we want this to be a community effort. If you see a need, meet a need. That's what my mother always taught me. So if there's a need in these communities to have health and wellness across the board, then we're going to provide it to them without stretching their pockets. But we'll have forms and things like that to fill out when they become a member. So I think that's the way we should do things. You know what I mean?
Dude, I agree. And I also think that we need to provide financial incentives to grocery stores to provide healthy, organic, farm-grown, sustainable food on their aisles at an affordable price.
Yes.
Because nobody's going to want to do that. Nobody's going to put that stuff on the aisle in a poor neighborhood when it's never going to get bought because people can't afford it. So we have to provide incentives to these grocery stores to put it on their shelves and make it so people want to buy these items affordably. And we also have to do a better job of collaborating with our JBG Gardens and our Boggy Creek Farms and all these amazing spots in Austin to get more people to take better care of their bodies.
Yeah.
Because look, we are in a pandemic, and if you look at the numbers from the CDC, 94% of people who died of this virus had serious pre-existing conditions.
Right.
So you know what that means? It means it's a call to action for a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah.
It means that our mayor, instead of telling us to wear masks and not go out, he should be literally reposting all of your videos on Twitter.
Saying?
You know what I mean? That's what Mayor Adler needs to actually be doing.
Yes. And you know what? The funny thing is this, man. It's like I feel like, I see it all the time, brother. I'm in these communities. I'm in the wealthy communities, training my clients, and I'm also on the east side. And the stark, the discrepancy of like the access to these certain things is preposterous, man. And what I see, I'm able to be on both sides to see these things. You have people on the east side that have never been to a Whole Foods, never been to Zilker Park.
Yeah, but there's also a mental thing too, where a lot of people just don't feel like they will ever belong, so they don't even try.
For sure.
There is that, because I feel like Austin, Texas is a city of abundant opportunity.
Most definitely.
And the problem is that a lot of people in these underserved areas don't feel as though they have an abundance of opportunity.
Exactly.
But you really do.
Yeah.
You honestly do. Because I came here with like nothing. You know what I mean? I came here, I was working at an after-school program. I started pedicabbing because I responded to a Craigslist ad, and I just was open-minded and wanted to try something new. Mm-hmm. And I did it part-time on the weekends, and I was able to create this life for myself, and I was able to create this entity that I've built right now. I've had, I tried to be the mayor of Austin. I've made a bunch of songs. I was on stage at the Paramount. Like, I've done a lot of pretty cool stuff, considering I ride this little bike around town.
Yeah.
And the point that I'm making is, there's nothing that special or extraordinary about me, and I'm able to be all right.
Yeah.
In Austin, and it's not a testament to me, because I'm literally not that special. Mm-hmm. If anything, I'm probably like more inept than special, if you really want to get technical. But this is a testament to the opportunities that are prevalent in Austin. Like, if I can be okay and if I can sustain myself, if I can live in a decent neighborhood, if I can have some money saved up, if I can have this podcast, if I can have you being a guest on my podcast, opportunity exists, and people need to understand that.
Right. And here's the thing, brother. They need to understand it, and they deserve to understand it. And I think one of my goals is, like with a lot of the community work that I do, I want to bridge the gap. Because you don't know what you don't know. If you don't know this opportunity, then you're not going to go toward the opportunity. So I want to be that bridge builder. And the thing about it is this, Alex, it's like this. What we're doing right now, black guy, white guy, you know what I'm saying, respectively, I think we are being the change. We are making that change. And so to connect with people across the aisle or people that don't look like you, I think that's important. So some people that are unaware of what's going on in these underserved communities can become aware. And I think that's important, and vice versa. I think some of the people in these underserved communities should know that there's resources and access to
opportunities.
Resources.
And they should also understand that people who are, look, I think that there's a tale of two Austins, right? There's one version of Austin where it's a giant theme park and a giant playground, and then there's another version of Austin where people feel like they're just being neglected and left behind and pushed out. And I think a lot of the people in these neglected, pushed out areas of Austin need to understand that the people in the theme park want to include them. A lot of, you know what I mean? Like that's really how I feel, and I think that it's good that we're having this conversation because, well, more people need to understand that we're not as different as people make it out to be, and there are a ton of opportunities for inclusion, and if people were to try to seize those opportunities, they'd be pleasantly surprised.
Most definitely.
That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, like my mother always said, she always said, nothing beats failure but a try, right? You're going to fail 100% of the times if you don't try. And so I think if we try, a lot of these things could be alleviated. You know what I mean? It's really that simple. You know what I mean? But if we don't try, it'll never get done. So I think what we're doing right now, and a lot of people out here that's doing the groundwork, beyond the politics, really that's getting down to the nitty-gritty, getting their hands dirty, people you don't even know about. These are the people, and this is the fabric of Austin, because we do need to make a change. And there are changes being made, but it's slow change, right? And so for myself, I've just been called upon to be one of the leaders and pioneers and connect with other leaders, other business owners. I think that's important too. As a black man, I know that's very important, so we can get resources and knowledge and awareness to these certain communities and people, man.
But also, just to add on that, people need to understand too that change comes from within.
Come on now.
Like, it really does. Like, it comes from within. And there are certain things that we need to change from like an equity standpoint, 100%, right?
For sure.
But there are a lot of opportunities that already exist in Austin, and if people were to make certain changes to their lifestyles and just eat a little bit better and exercise a little bit more, or learn about the stock market, or go out of their comfort zone a little bit and talk to people who just didn't look like them, they would realize that they are not as oppressed as they think they are. Yeah, that's really honestly how I look at it.
For sure. I think, man, and this is the one of many reasons we're opening the yoga studio on 12th and Chacon on the east side, is because what we want to do is we want to provide a safe space for people to come and heal. We want to provide a safe space for people to come and learn about nutrition, learn about their bodies, learn about that introspective and their emotions and moods, and see how they feel. In addition to that, when we think about yoga means, for simple forms, means union and connection, or yoke. Go ahead.
Chris, not to be a self-promoter or anything like that, but my girlfriend is actually a certified yoga teacher.
Well, I will say this: your girlfriend has the doors wide open for her if she wants to teach. So you've heard it here first. If you want to come teach at the yoga studio, Everybody Yoga, 12th and Chacon, it's going to be epic. We're going to have a diverse group of teachers. So come out. But I would definitely love to have your girlfriend come teach at the class.
My girlfriend's great, and I put it to you this way: like we were talking about this earlier. I don't know what
he must be in trouble, y'all. He's giving
no. Dude, I'm always in trouble. What do you mean? Like, listen, I'm always. Dude, there's never a day where I'm not in trouble. I'm used to it. Listen, but I'll put it to you this way, man. Ever since I've met my girl, ever since I've been seeing her, I've been on a roll. Like, nothing but really good things have been happening to me since I've met her. I fought MMA. I made a bunch of songs that got a lot more publicity than they probably should have.
How long have y'all been together?
We've been together for over 3.5 years, Chris.
Come on now.
I ran for mayor of Austin, and granted, say what you want about the campaign, but I got a chance to meet a lot of people, and I grew a lot as a person. And now I'm running for city council, and I also have this new podcast that I'm really grateful and fortunate that I have people who want to go on and actually want to allocate portions of their time to talk to me, and that's something I really appreciate. And having the girlfriend I have who's supported me through everything, it's definitely helped. And I don't think I'd have done a lot of what I've done or had the courage to do what I've done if I didn't have somebody by my side unconditionally.
Yeah. And as you're saying this, man, my heart is melting because I'm single, y'all. So no, but look,
you won't be single for long. You look at that body, bro. You gotta look, Chris. You have a pandemic-proof body.
Yes,
I'm telling you, like, They talk about how people in the Black and Hispanic community are more likely to get COVID. Yeah. Well, Chris, you're going to be fine, man. Look at you, dude. You're going to be good.
I'll be fine. I got a little muscle, but listen.
Dude, even if you get the virus, you're not even going to know. You're not even going to know because you actually take care of yourself and you're in phenomenal shape. So like I said, this is really a lifestyle thing.
It is.
And a class thing and an access thing in terms of what you have available to you.
And for me personally, I was just one of those guys that was always going to go get it. You know what I mean? If there was access to something, growing up playing sports, I've been playing sports all my life since I've been 5 years old. So the idea to always push harder and to overcome all obstacles, that's been ingrained in me. So when I came to Austin, I'll be honest with you, brother, like I witnessed the whole, like, man, it's a lot of white people here. You know what I mean? And it traumatized me in ways.
Did it really though? But when you played sports, weren't you around a lot of white people when you played sports though?
I was, but you know what it was? I was missing my family. My family used to come see me play. You see what I'm saying? And then coming out here in Austin, I didn't have family. And on top of that, I was a minority. You know what I mean? And so I had to fight my way back to the quote unquote top, or at least to be seen and heard.
Did you honestly feel like you were treated differently because of your skin color in Austin?
No, but you want to know why? Because I have a gift of being able to. Me personally, I do have a gift of being able to, like, make everybody feel like speak
feel comfortable.
And feel comfortable.
No, I have the same way because I could go into a black neighborhood and not feel not feel out of place or feel scared or feel anything like that. I could feel like I could go into a black neighborhood and make friends with a bunch of people in the neighborhood. It's about how you. It's about like if you're comfortable with yourself and you're just a genuine human being, people respond to that, and it doesn't matter what you look like.
Exactly. Now, I will say this in the terms of the business sector. My major is business, minor is kinesiology. So I will say that I've been fighting hard for, like, to understand the money in business. I feel like to get people to speak, that's my gift. I have a gift of gab. But to understand money in business and economic empowerment for myself, my family, and our communities, that's been the most challenging thing. So when you ask the question, do I feel like I've been discriminated against? Yes and no. It's twofold, right? Because in my face, no. But then there's systematic things that may have. There may be some energies of people that may not want to see Chris Isom succeed. I don't know. I didn't experience it because I have the ability to make people feel good.
Right. Or some people might just be uncomfortable because you're like this Jack Black dude and they have a girlfriend that they like and they're scared that you might try to take their girl. Yeah, I get that. I understand.
The problems I have, y'all. The problems I have, no.
It struggles real, dude. No, but I get it. I understand that perspective.
Yeah, like, it's both.
People probably have been always very nice to you to your face, right? But I'm sure people probably would say something behind your back because they're like, oh, I don't know that I want this person. Like, I'm insecure because this person might just be like bigger and stronger than me, and he's like more charismatic. You know what I mean? So there's definitely that.
Yeah,
that definitely goes into it. I'm sure.
It does, man. And but you know what? That's enough to overcome. If you have a purpose and you're purpose driven, like you say, as far as health and wellness and well-being for all people, not just black or brown community, for all people, right? I think that's enough to keep you fueled and keep the passion burning alive. So regardless of the BS that you may go through, you can kind of keep pushing forward. And like I say, I was raised by a single mother, and of course my dad, he was always present in our life, but we've seen our mom, like, man, work hard. She's the hardest working person I know, and I'm talking about man and woman. So when you're ingrained in that and understanding the plight of an African American in America, I mean, I've seen it since I've been little, so I've been able to overcome to varying degrees. But it's been tough, brother, to be honest with you. But meeting cool people like yourself, man, you make it very easy for me.
I try, man. I try. Hey, so Chris, we're gonna pivot a little bit.
Yeah, what's up?
How do you feel about mask wearing?
Ooh, look how he just pivoted, man.
Right away. Right to the point. Right to the point, dude. Right to the point.
Iverson crossed over me. Let's see, said the
Tim
blind
Hardaway,
man.
Dude, we got to.
Tim Hardaway.
We're bringing it back.
Let me give you we can bring it back to Tim Hardaway. For those that don't know. Mask wearing. You really want me to be honest, or you want me to be?
No. You tell the truth. This is about telling the truth and having an honest discussion about this.
Okay, I want to be diplomatic about it.
No. As a trainer, because I've had arguments about Matt. Like, I think there are times when you should wear a mask, and there are times when it's not necessary and probably counterproductive to wear a mask.
Yeah, for sure.
So I want to know what your take on when you should wear a mask and when you should not wear a mask is. I'm just here to listen. I'm sitting back and I'm listening.
I feel like he just set me up with alley oop. He want me to slam dunk it. So as far as the mask wearing, I'll be honest with you. Me personally, so out of respect of people, because I'm a people person, and oftentimes I'm a people pleaser too. But out of respect for people, I'll wear a mask. But to be honest with you, I have a rebellious spirit, right? So to tell me to wear the mask, like as if that's the end all be all to stop this virus, right? It doesn't make sense to me, because remember, I'm in the health and wellness field. So I'm thinking if it's going to compromise our immune system, I feel like we should start eating immune boosting foods. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the thing I think we need to focus on. And so I'm not a guy that just focuses on fear. I think there's a lot of fear tactics going on, and a lot of people are up in arms about it. Now I do understand that a lot of people have died from corona, so to speak, but they have
they died with coronavirus,
right?
More than dying from coronavirus,
right? So I really feel like there is an agenda, because I think there's a duality in the way we look at things, right? There is definitely an agenda. I do want to honor and respect the people that may have lost their lives and families that may be afraid of the virus. But for me personally, myself, bro, I'll be honest with you. Anytime I can not wear a mask, I'm not going to wear a mask.
Same here. I don't think this is something people should ever get used to wearing.
Yeah. And can I let me intervene on this? The one thing I don't understand, I have to. Whoever's out there, maybe you, Alex, you can chime in on this. I don't understand this. If you go into a restaurant, you have to wear your mask. But my brain is hurting just thinking about this. When you go into a restaurant, you have to wear a mask. But the moment you sit down, you can take the mask off. In the same restaurant. Like, I don't get that. You'll never get me to understand it, because I feel like if it's a virus, it's going to translate through the room anyway. So I think there's like some of the rules don't make sense.
So let me elaborate that.
Talk to me, brother.
So when you go into what you said made perfect sense, right? And I think that it is weird that they make you wear a mask to go into a restaurant, but you don't have to wear a mask when you actually order your food from your waiter.
Yes.
That's weird. And to be honest, that's one of the few times where I think you should wear a mask. So,
okay.
My take on mask wearing is this, right? I'll wear a mask when I go inside of a restaurant for now. Keyword for now.
For now, okay. I do.
And when I talk to my waiter or bartender, I'm gonna put I will do my best to put my mask on, unless I personally know the bartender, I know that they just think it's bullshit or whatever, right? But under normal circumstances, if it's somebody I don't know, I will put my mask on while I'm ordering food from my waiter or waitress or bartender or whatever, because you don't know how they're feeling, and you have to be respectful to the people that are at work, and you don't know if it's by choice or not.
Yeah.
But once you are at your table, and the bartender or the waiter is gone, you should take your mask off, because everyone there is a consenting adult and they know the risks. Does that make sense?
Well, it's kind of like wearing a seatbelt, right? You get a ticket for wearing a seatbelt.
I don't think you should get tickets for wearing seatbelts. I think that's your
choice. Yeah,
that's
it's like
your choice.
Like, how is me wearing a seatbelt? How does that warrant a ticket? So I think it's the same thing with the mask.
It's similar, but you're also the just to play devil's advocate. The one difference is that if this virus is super contagious and you're in close proximity to 1 million people and you're not wearing a mask and you're indoors, you might give this virus to 5 people or 10 people, and they might give it to 110 other people, and then all of a sudden now you have an outbreak, and all of a sudden the hospitals could be overwhelmed. So that's the one devil's advocate argument for that.
Okay.
If you're not wearing a seatbelt, the only person you're hurting is yourself.
Yeah,
if you're not wearing a mask, look, I honestly think these masks are kind of bullshit, but I'm giving you my devil's advocate.
He's trying to play devil's advocate.
I'm giving you the devil's advocate perspective of that. And like I said, I think that if you're around consenting adults who are making a choice not to go out to a bar, right, and you're sitting at your table, or you go inside a bar, the only time you should wear that mask is when you're talking to the people who are working at the bar. But once you're away from the people that are working at the bar, then I think it's fair game.
Yeah.
And I also think that you should wear a mask when you go grocery shopping.
Yeah.
For now, Keyword for now. I think you should wear a mask when you're in the gas station for now.
Yeah.
I think if you're at Home Depot, you should wear a mask. And that's probably always because of all the shit that gets breathed in at Home Depot. You should probably, that generally speaking, I'd wear a mask at Home Depot no matter what.
Speaking of Home Depot, I've been at Home Depot a lot lately, just getting renovations done with the studio, the yoga studio.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because, brother, when I first got in there, I felt like a fish out of water. But now I'm kind of...
You know everybody.
I know everybody. And the one thing I will say about going to Home Depot, sorry to like pivot a little bit more, is my spirit has been, as being a leader like in a community, or just a leader or a coach or a teacher, facilitator or whatever, you're often called to lead, right? And so look at this. What's up, man?
Jesus Christ. All right.
Hey, yeah, you're often called the lead, right? And so oftentimes people look at you for knowledge and wisdom and guidance. But one thing about going to Home Depot, now this is crazy, is there's a lot of baby boomers in there, like a lot of older energy.
Yeah.
And I just really love going in there just to see like people that's older than me. It's one place I can go that I know people are just older than me. I don't know where else I can go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're in Austin, and so it's young, it's hip, it's cool. But I just like that old wisdom because, and it may be me missing my mom and my dad or something, man. But I like getting wisdom from older people, even if it's going to Home Depot.
Yeah,
picking up paint.
That's good. But let's get back. Let me talk more about this mask wearing stuff.
Yeah.
And I told you about when I think you should wear a mask. Mm-hmm. Now let's talk about when you should definitely not wear a mask.
Ooh.
Okay. And I don't think that you should wear a mask when you're outdoors.
No.
I think if you're outdoors and you have a chance to breathe fresh air, unless you're at like a 10,000 person event, you know, you should probably not wear a mask when you're outside and you have an opportunity to breathe fresh air. You should not wear a mask when you drive your car under any set of circumstances, especially if it's by yourself. You should not wear a mask. Yeah, I know. You should. That's because they're so used to it. And you should not wear a mask when you're out walking your dog. You should not wear a mask if you're with your significant other and she's not wearing a mask. That literally makes no sense why you're wearing it. You're doing nothing for public health. And the last thing is that you should not wear your mask while you're exercising in a gym.
Ooh, big. That's huge for me.
That's the one thing that I really want to put out there, because if you're, I mean, maybe if you're doing like some regular isometric lifts or some like squats or some deadlifts and you're doing a few reps and you're not doing anything cardio related, it's whatever, fine, put the mask on, who cares, you know? But if you're doing like circuit training, if you're running, if you're doing anything that taxes your cardiovascular system or your anaerobic musculature, wearing a mask is actually harmful to your oxygen intake.
True.
And so that's what I want to hear. You're the fitness expert, so I want to talk about mask wearing at the gym and what your take on it is.
Well, personally, when I train my clients. I work independently. Right?
Okay.
So I'm an entrepreneur in that endeavor.
Right.
So me personally, I do not wear the mask. I don't require my clients to wear masks. But I will say that we, of course, hand sanitize.
Well,
that's important. But
yeah.
I think when you're training, man, and you know, even just what I'm personal training or talking about yoga, and I always tell people all the time, you're breathing, the breath is so important, right? Even your posture and how you sit. And so when you breathe, you want to deeply inhale into your body so you can send that oxygenated rich blood through your body. And it's hard to do that when you have a mask on. So for instance, like me breathing deeply into my body, and it feels so good. You're sending like that oxygen in, right? And it's the purifier system for your body. But when you have a mask on and you're breathing in that old oxygen and CO2, it can get a little nasty. And you need to be able to breathe while you're working out. You know what I mean? I think that's to not have freedom in breath when you're working out. It makes no sense.
It makes no sense, and that's and if you make people if you require prolonged mask wearing, you might inadvertently, and I'm going to say inadvertently because I don't want to go off on any tangents, you might inadvertently cause more complications from the virus than intended.
For sure. Most definitely.
That's what I think about that. So I think that there's a time and a place to wear a mask. There's a time and a place where it's not that necessary, and there are also times and places where wearing a mask is actually hazardous to your health.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I think one of those times is when you are at a gym exercising. You should do whatever you can to maximize the amount of oxygen that your body takes in and absorbs.
For sure.
For your health, so you don't get serious COVID complications.
Right. So in essence, what you're saying is not wearing a mask could be a not a cure, well, a cure for the disease, right?
Not
or
a
the
cure,
virus,
but
rather.
it could help. Well, it's not going to cure it, but it'll limit the amount of it'll reduce the amount of complications that you might have. That's what I think.
Agree. I concur.
So that's my fair and objective take on it. I also think that prolonged mask wearing, it could possibly enhance the division that we're experiencing right now socially.
Well, it has already. It's not.
Well, yeah. So share.
Yeah, I just feel like, man, everything under the sun is causing division now, and I can't stand it. But even before coronavirus, there's always been division. But even when we talk about wearing masks and not wearing masks, we're just causing more division. One can only look at like seeing the political structure right now to see the division going on in the streets. And when we talk about initially, I think I felt like the world was conjuring up and coming together under one accord of just trying to figure out what this virus is. But it's only so long that human beings are going to be human beings, and we start creating division in anything that we do. So wearing masks or not wearing masks, what the virus and who and what we're creating, and when is the virus going to be created? All these timelines and deadlines and the division is getting out of hand, and we're missing the point of what we're really trying to do, which is heal. You know what I mean? Which is the cure, which is health and wellness. And that's a lot. Like I say, you talking to me, a health and wellness guy, I have to always go back to the solution. One thing about protests and riots and things of that nature, I think those things are going to happen. But after the protests, after the riots, after the emotional response, what is the solution? I'm a solution-driven person. And like opening the yoga studio, having a podcast, talking about these things, joining hands with people.
Financial education.
Financial education
to actually create more entrepreneurship, increase stock market participation to help more people benefit from capitalism, because capitalism is a fucking awesome system, and if more people don't benefit from our economic system, you're going to get a communist revolution, and nobody wants that.
Yeah. And the thing about it is this, man. When we talk about financial freedom, we can't have financial freedom if we do not have financial education. So you're right about that. In particular, now, once again, our underserved and marginalized communities. You see what I'm saying? Because when you think about entrepreneurship, all entrepreneurship is really, to me, in the simplest form, it's an expression of your soul. You're creating an art, you're creating a masterpiece, and you're putting it out there for the world to enjoy. And so if we are prohibiting people to do that now, what is that doing? Not only financially, what is that doing mentally? What is that doing physically? Harming your body, because when you're stressed out, you're harming your body. What is that doing to the soul of a man if they can't understand or can't find a way to make ends meet? You get what I'm saying? And so, like I say, financial education is very important. And that is the most important thing on my list right now, because the handouts and oh, yeah, we went into the community, we helped the kid, all of that. Okay, no. Don't teach me, don't give me the fish, teach me how to fish. And teaching someone how to fish is the financial education that we need. And so for me and what I'm doing, being a black entrepreneur, not only am I going that route, I'm also going to teach people these principles that I'm learning through trial and error. And speaking of just joining hands and bridging the gap without the division, I have been working for people across the aisle in all races, all ethnicities, because we must figure out ways to empower our communities financially. And we talk about all type of empowerment, except for when it comes to financially, people close their wallets. They tighten up a little bit. No, loosen up. You know what I mean? This is how you can help. Everybody wants to know how we can help Black Lives Matter. Everybody wants to know how we can help black people. Well, listen, financial education, put money and resources back in our community. And like I say that, when we have to take ownership as well, because when you put money in our communities, we have to know what to do with the money. You know what I mean? To help it grow, to make it grow. So, you mentioned stocks and markets and things of that nature, but we have to have some type of literacy, and that right there is first and foremost on my mind.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And you know, one of the things that I also think we need to do is that I think that if every NBA player during their rookie year and NFL player had to spend 200 hours their rookie season with a financial analyst who agreed that they were going to take no stake in that person's career.
Yeah.
So they had to actually teach them objectively.
Yeah.
If they had to do that for 200 hours in their rookie year, within a generation, the whole dynamic of wealth will change in America.
Most definitely. We talked about this earlier, me and you, right here.
We did talk about that, yeah.
Yeah, before the podcast.
And then we went to a barbecue spot, Sam's Barbecue. It's a great spot on 12th and Chacon.
Yeah.
Amazing black-owned business. It's been around for over 50 years. MLK used to come there.
Yes.
So.
And look, and that's the other thing. Having a yoga studio on the east side of Austin. There's no, listen, y'all. there in the word community, you have to have unity, right? There's no community without unity. And so even as an entrepreneur and the business owner, what I've been doing and what we've been doing, we've been having this collective and meeting the other business owners, right? And also too bringing awareness to the east side and to these establishments like you just mentioned, Sam's Barbecue. Everybody knows Franklin's Barbecue, but do you know Sam's Barbecue? You know what I mean? Everybody knows whatever yoga studio, but now you're going to know everybody yoga studio, because we need to see people coming to those east side, not to gentrify, right, but to actually take part in what's going on the east side, because it's not as desolate as one would think. Man, you got people walking around exercising and things like that, and of course it has been gentrified over time, but there's still a lot of eclectic local people that are still there that can add value to this city. And if you understand the world of duality, the yin and the yang, you can't have one without the other. What's tall is short. What's black is white. You know what I mean? We gotta come together.
And the more you financially empower people, the more a lot of the locals in those neighborhoods have a chance to actually stay in their area.
Yeah, man.
So I think that plays a big role.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, let's just be real with it, man. I know Austin is the most desirable place to live, right? But you got 7.5% black people leaving this city. Why? Because they don't feel like there's nothing that belongs to them here.
Oh, but Chris, we have a Black Lives Matter sign on Congress now. You don't feel...
Man, listen, dude. Y'all, come on, man. Like, one thing I will... I'll say this. I applaud the effort, man. I applaud the effort. But we got to do more than put a sign on the floor. You know what I'm saying? We got to do more than put a sign on the street, because we not only, first of all, we have to empower ourselves as black people. You know what I'm saying? That's number one. Number two, putting the signs on the street, that's cool, but like I say, that's an emotional response. You saw it quick after George Floyd died. It's an emotional response. What happens after the emotion? What are the solutions? And that's what we need to start tackling. And like I say, I'm a big doer. I don't talk. My biggest motto is this: I laugh and talk, but I do not play. Everybody that knows me, they know that, man, Chris is fun, he's loving, he's joking, but man, when it come game time, it's game time.
You got to come. You got to come ready.
You got to come.
Look, you got to bring it together, and that's it. You got to bring it together.
There's got to be solutions. There's got to be a POA, plan of action, in order to get these things done. Like I say, even with the yoga studio, excuse me for saying this, I have to say this. With the yoga studio, man, I'm trial and error. I'm hitting the ceiling. I'm bumping my head. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have a lineage of people to tell me how to do business. You see what I'm saying? But at the same time, I'm still grinding with it, and I'm still reaching across the aisle to different people that have done business before. And when these are the solutions, right? And so a lot of the gibber and the jabber and the politics and the elections are coming up, which is distracting us from what we really need to be doing. I'm a big doer. And
hey, Chris, speaking of the elections, how do you feel about Trump's plan for Black America?
Ooh, what plan? Now let me.
His $500 billion little mini stimulus for Black businesses in Black America as a whole.
Well,
what's the hot take?
My biggest thing is this, man. It's unfortunate that it's taken so much fighting, scratching, screaming, clawing, killing on national TV for these things to come about. There we go again. We like I say, the emotional response is happening after the fact. You know what I'm saying? So ain't no amount of money that you can give that's gonna bring back people's lives. You see what I'm saying? So like I say, at the end of the day, because I'm big on like coming together, so I applaud the effort. But we got to do more. You know what I'm saying? We hearing the stuff every day, and the cries have been.
So speaking of actionable, do you think it's really going to get put into action, or do you think it's just something to say to just try to get votes right before an election? That's another question.
Well, we already know there's nothing new under the sun. And so every time there's an election coming around, you got people that are going to do things that may be against their will, or they may be just doing it so they can get votes. So I do feel like a lot of this is because of the election. We already know that. In fact, with the coronavirus, there's always something.
There's always something going on to
you know what I mean?
Elections.
So as far as the 500, the stimulus, if I receive some of it, I might be happy about it. Just to be honest with you, but man, I just think it's still these emotional responses, and we're playing on our heel when it comes to Black lives, and that we do really matter. Because if you think about a protest has happened after somebody's been killed. A protest has happened after you know what I'm saying, somebody's been arrested or beat down. This is after. What do we do? How do we be proactive? You know what I mean? And so that's what I'm about. So if the stimulus package is one way to be proactive, even after the fact, then cool. But let's do more of that. I think we need to do more, man.
I agree. But I also think that if you start stimulating economies in those communities, you will over time start seeing less. You will start seeing less of that because, generally speaking, police are a lot more aggressive in poor communities. And if the majority of people in poor communities are black, well, what do you think the optics are going to look like?
Oh yeah, I mean, you got to look at the prison system, right?
Yeah,
the school to pipeline. You got to look at how many minorities are in jail.
And it's for like the stupidest fucking things too.
Yeah,
it's for the dumbest things too. Although, didn't Trump sign something like the First Step Back where a lot of people got pardoned or something?
Yeah, but then you got to think. And see, and I get it. There's no real solution, guys. But I do get this. It's just like
Although Obama did some stuff too, and people so Obama also did a lot of cool stuff about that too, and a lot of like nonviolent offenders got released too under Obama.
That's true. And I think it's like this, man. Even when they do that, you have to think. Let's just say somebody's been in jail for 20 years, 10 years, 15 years for marijuana, right? And
they should have never gone there to begin with.
Right.
They should have never gone there.
And so even though they've been pardoned and let out, you got to think what did it do to the mother that was raising her kids by herself? What did it do to the child that didn't have a father that was in jail behind marijuana? Now you're letting them out, but there's still a lot of trauma there.
Yeah, you're not doing anything to fix it.
You know what I mean? It's still a lot of trauma. So there's no real true solution. I'm happy they pardoning people, but at the end of the day, sometimes the damage is done. And then when we think about, like, for myself, doing the yoga, the meditation, the mindfulness, financial freedom, i.e. financial education, these are the solutions that we can start imputing into these people's lives so they can get the healing that they need and they can have their voice heard, even though they probably been in jail for something crazy, outlandishly small for so many years. You can't get those years back, y'all. You already know.
Yeah. So I grew up in New York City, right?
Man, I should know that about you, huh? Did I know that?
I thought you should have. I told you about that when I first met you. But, so I grew up in New York, and I had a lot of friends who lived in neighborhoods that I didn't live in. And they were telling me, like, hey, man, every Tuesday and Thursday, the cops come and clean the neighborhoods out to fill the jail quotas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like in like certain parts of the South Bronx, every Tuesday and Thursday, the cops come and fill their arrest quotas, and they'll arrest people for, like, trespassing, but they're at their girlfriend's house waiting for their girlfriend. You know what I mean? Or they'll, like, arrest 10 people because they're, like, all passing a joint around. Or they'll, like, arrest people, like, hanging out at the convenience store for, like, loitering. And, like, they'll just arrest people on, like, all these bullshit charges. Yeah. And that's a thing that happens. And then Michael Bloomberg did the whole stop and frisk thing, and, like, 1,000 black people a day or something like that, right? Like, got stopped and harassed because of these policies.
Yeah.
So a lot of that stuff happens, and it happens a lot of times in liberal cities and in liberal states.
Yeah.
And then another thing that's weird too is that people like Michael Bloomberg are, like, really supportive of BLM, and they probably donated. I haven't gotten the financial statements, but I would not be surprised if somebody like Michael Bloomberg, who uses prison labor who is using prison labor to campaign for him over the phone, was a big contributor and big supporter of BLM. And it makes you think, like, are these BLM protests really about achieving racial equality, or are they weaponizing you in order to achieve a different type of agenda? So that's another question, and that's why it's important for people to actually be empowered, so people can so that there can be a real racial justice movement that's based on self-sufficiency and true empowerment.
Yeah. Self-sufficiency that's key, y'all. That's key. You guys know Malcolm X, right? And if you don't know him, he was a leader in the Nation of Islam, but he was always big, and they called him a radical leader, a radical teacher. But what he was really speaking on is just doing for self. You know what I mean? And he said by any means necessary, but what he meant was, like, yo, if you have to defend yourself and to stop yourself from getting killed, then do that by any means necessary. But what the goal was is just economic empowerment for our communities and for ourselves. Before we reach out to someone else, we have to sweep around our own front door. You know what I mean?
Malcolm X also hated the white liberal. Fun fact.
He did.
Fun fact. He
did, man. And if you go back and watch Malcolm X, he was speaking so much truth even back then, right? And a lot of these things are coming up right now, man. So it's dope, man. But like you say, it's self-sufficiency is huge. I mean, I can't say enough about that, brother. Yeah.
No, I agree.
Are you self-sufficient, man?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty self-sufficient. I ride this pedicab. I make my, I get to function as my own independent entity. I have a lot of people that like what I do, and I'm able to function as my own independent entity while also being very grateful that I benefit from the kindness of others. So it's a balance, and you just got to do your best to be a good human being, and that's really all that there is to it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I'm independent in my own entity, but I'm also able to do that because of the kindness of others, and you have to give back, and you have to give it to get it.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
That's how I feel.
Also, too, man, I'm going to just say this. Another thing that I'm passionate about, very, very passionate about, is our youth, right? So there's an ancient Native American proverb that says we don't just borrow our, how does it go? We don't inherit our land from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children, right? And so the notion in that is, yeah, we're here on this earth right now, but we have to leave it in a better place. And if we sit with ourselves, right, fast, meditate, pray, we have to ask ourselves, are we leaving this world a better place for the people that are coming after us? And so I do youth programs as well, in addition to opening the yoga studio, in addition to my training and yoga and things like that. We run these youth programs as well. And right now we're looking at partnering up with AISD just to provide our yoga space so we can offer these virtual learning for these kids. And the reason why we do that is because, one, the parents, they're getting taxed. They having to go back to school.
Dude, you need to hit up like ALC and do it at ALC because they're in that school for punishment. And even though their punishments are probably pretty stupid, and a lot of those kids, like I said, just got caught smoking weed, and now they got to go to ALC. But kids at Austin High don't have to go there. Just say, hey, listen, go do some yoga, and we'll take your time off.
Yeah. Like
I'm sure you could probably work something out with that school to make that happen.
For sure. And like I say, all of these things are in the work. We just want to provide, like I say, relief for the parents, relief for the families, and in addition to that, provide a safe space for the students to learn. And oftentimes, just learning at home, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like, what? But if we can provide a space to where they can commingle as well, obviously we'll be COVID friendly and things like that. We'll have tutors. We'll also take them through a physical education portion because I think that's important. A lot of the youth right now, we've never experienced this before. We used to play, run, the monkey bars, the tether balls, all of that good stuff. So right now, where there's not much going on, they're shutting everything down. We have to give them something. You know what I mean? We can't. We're so selfish. Everybody's talking about the mass, the political, the voting, but nobody's talking about youth. Nobody's talking about the youth.
But that ties into it, though, because we still have to play in spite of the fact that there's a pandemic, because governments could literally start using pandemics throughout the rest of time in order to keep people divided and stop people from playing and deliberately stunt people emotionally so that they have to depend on the government. So you have to encourage play and encourage people communicating, and you have to encourage exercise. Again, you have to encourage togetherness no matter how bad the pandemic is, even if it risks your life and the lives of others. Because if not, what kind of life are we living?
Come on now. And that's the thing, like I was telling you, man, and you are too, so solution driven. It's like, okay, I hear what's going on in the world, the pandemic, the this, the that, but the solutions are here. You know what I mean? Like, be informed, but then go do something. My biggest motto is this, and I don't want to say it because I need to copyright it, but my motto has always been do something until something happens. I think we wait so much until like the perfect time or this, that, and the third, but no, do something until something happens. We have to do so something can happen. You know what I mean? And I think we're paralyzed from fear, COVID. We're paralyzed for money and all of these things.
And status and acceptance.
Yeah.
And we spend too much time on social media and we watch too much TV and we do things for the approval of others without really thinking for ourselves.
Most definitely.
I also think that probably plays a role in terms of like the presidential polls and everything, and people are scared to talk about like how they feel about the election or how they feel about what's really going on. Like the fact that we're even having an honest discussion about wearing masks, that's odd. That is very odd.
Yeah. Didn't you say you lost like 20 friends because
I lost
of
a lot of friends because of my take on all this stuff.
Yeah.
I did. Because right when these shutdowns started, I immediately was questioning the motive behind this. You know, I said right off the bat, this is going to destroy Austin. This is going to destroy our small businesses. Mm-hmm. This is going to they are doing this to deliberately pit people against each other and create some sort of like a civil war, or perpetuate civil unrest in America. China is financing a lot of these Democratic candidates. They're getting A lot of these news media outlets are getting heavily financed by China. They're getting heavily financed by people like Bill Gates. They're being heavily financed by guys like Jeff Bezos, who benefited tremendously from the pandemic. So I was always skeptical, and I was very surprised by like a lot of my like super left-leaning socialist friends that were so on board with these shutdowns and lockdowns. I'm like, you're doing the opposite of reversing income inequality. You realize that you're literally making it worse. Yeah. You're making it worse. Yeah. Everything you're doing with the shutdowns, and then from encouraging rioting, right, and encouraging people destroying the small businesses,
right?
Everything that you are suggesting is all it's going to do is it's going to help make Jeff Bezos a trillionaire, and that's a fact.
Yeah, well, he's on his way up. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, thanks to a lot of these people.
I think, man, look, it's like this, brother. In order to get real change, solutions, and things like that, it's gonna take a lot of work, brother. Because, like you say, it's always gonna be if we do A, someone is gonna say do B. Yeah. If we do B, someone's gonna say do A. You know what I mean? So I look at the world like a Venn diagram, right? So you got these two big circles, right? And you guys have seen this probably in math class or something. Somewhere in these two circles, we interlock, we commingle. Let's start finding the ways in which we are more alike than we're more different. You know what I mean? And I think because we all are alike in some way, shape, form, or fashion. If we can start focusing on the ways in which we're alike, and I think our differences won't seem so stark.
Well, because they're not. We all want the same thing, man.
Yeah.
Like, if you look, if you were to get a group of like Trump supporters and a group of like BLM guys together to talk about policing, they will probably agree on like 80 to 90% of the things on the table.
For sure. What stops people from like coming together, getting along for the
media and Facebook, the media and Facebook and big tech, and there's an agenda to keep people apart, and people are not adapt at critical thinking, and that's why this is happening. But at the end of the day, man, like, we're so close to literally being on the same page. It's ridiculous. We are so close to like actually truly coming together. That's an opportunity.
Now the pandemic, when we talk about the pandemic in and of itself, there's a lot of good to be, if we can extract some good out of this. It did allow people to sit with themselves, figure out who they are, what they're about, introspection. Also, too, what are their passions? What are their gifts, i.e. entrepreneurship? It's also getting us an opportunity to sit back and realize some of the ways in which government or the things and how we run things have been effed up for a while. You know what I mean?
I agree. So, and I also think that like one of the other positive things about this is that there's such an amazing emphasis on saving and supporting small businesses like never before. We need to keep that with us, because small businesses are what make this country amazing.
For sure.
They are what drive our economy. Small businesses are what allow people like me to be my own entity. They're what allow you to open up your own yoga studio and actually genuinely give back to your own community. And we have to do everything in our power to preserve and strengthen our small businesses like never before. I think,
and I will add onto that. I'm so glad that I am a small business owner now, just because with so much attention toward it, I hopefully I get to reap the benefits. You know what I mean? So it's been dope.
You may have picked the right time to open up a small business. Let me tell you.
Exactly.
But anyway, look, we're running out of time. I know Chris is a hot date.
You know, yes, I do. I got a little something.
Chris has a hot date. He has a hot date tonight. I don't want to keep her waiting.
Thank you, brother.
You know, I'm sure it's gonna go very well for you.
Yeah. Now he's a fighter. That hurt actually.
Oh,
when he
stop, dude! Stop, man.
Yeah, man. So, can I say one last thing?
Oh, please, yeah.
Hey, y'all. So check this out. Once again, my name is Chris. Like a community leader, things of that nature. But if I were to leave you all with anything, obviously come to the yoga studio when we open in January. And if you guys want to come to class October the 17th as a pop-up date at 10 o'clock in the morning, come. But health, wellness, financial education, financial literacy, these are the things that are important on the top of my list. So if anybody wants to talk these things and help how we can Black Lives Matter t-shirt, that's cool, but the solutions are here, and I'm a solution-driven person and a solution-driven individual, and as a twin, I'm big on partnership. Hell, I came into the womb with someone else, right? So if you want to partner with me, and if you're really serious about making real and lasting changes and not just talk about it, be about it, you guys can hit me up. You can follow me on Instagram at Isom Zone, ISOMZONE. Big dog, I appreciate you for having me out, man.
I appreciate you. Yeah. And listen, Isom Zone, hit up my boy. Come to his yoga studio.
Yes.
Chris, I'm so happy to have you on the show,
brother,
dude.
Appreciate you, man.
Absolutely,
yes, sir.
man.
Yes, sir.
All right.